All right, we're back here, back in. Let me back it up a little bit. Back it up some, back it up, back it up, back it up. Um, all right, we did some good stuff recently. We did glad you guys are here. We have a decode I told you I'd do of the movie Dark City, made in 1999, I believe, or we'll see if 99 or 98, before The Matrix came out, actually. Both of these movies were definitely there, right? We're going to deep dive in the story. Dark City definitely went into something very, very in depth. Total makes sense. Very nefarious, kind of what we see. That they're even telling us they're not nefarious at this day and time. I'm sure that's also a planned program of what would come and what it would serve. But we're going to decode Dark City. Remember, we did 13th Floor, and then I followed it up with part 1 and part 2 of Sophia, Repentances, of how this was really a coded work for us to understand how to raise our vibration and frequency, and this was a code for each realm that you would even do and not follow wrong lights and know what passwords to use along the way, and how this would transform you through the repentance of ascension from the lower states of chaos consciousness and the lower states of the rulers, the archons, or the god of this world, called in the New Testament, right? Called the god of this world. That in what we went over before, the god of this world, yeah. Or and then it says, "Love not the world," right? Neither the things in the world, because if you love the world, the love of the who? Not God. It says the love of the Father, and as we've pieced that together in the 13 repentances. So Sophia, what did we see? It was always a call out to the light. No mention of a God, no mention of anything. It was the highest realm that she was restorating towards. And then when she got closer to the 13th repentance, restoration got clearer and clearer from the 10th, 11th, 12th realm to the 13th repentance of her restoration of her own power and light was being restored. Not something outside of her, not something else given to her, and we can't look at anything of that as being something given to you outside of you. That was kind of the wrapping up. And this is an experience that must have within. No, somebody can tell you about all you want. That'll mean you'll get it. You won't get it, is the reality. And I have a video that came out already, but as I made it, it's not out yet, about what's the difference between Gnosis and Revelation. It was a very, very good video. Let me see how much time I have left here. I might have to plug this in. Where are we at? 29%. We got, this is an hour. 17 minutes. I don't plan to go that far or that long today. But still thinking about plugging it in, and I'm going to do it right now. Let me put that in. Let me plug this in real quick and we'll get started. I got a text from somebody in another country. That's what I had to check on. As I found out, as I'm coming back over to you now, as I plug this in, as I found out that I have listeners in other countries, as I was going through my list. And I was like, cool beans. And some of them have sent me messages about stuff and the appreciation of this channel and appreciation of me, right? But I won't stay on there with them at this time. We got something else to do right now. And let's go ahead and share. Let's get into Dark City. You haven't seen it? I suggest watch it. I'm gonna share this first, and definitely. Listen, I should have. Let me go back to where I was and do something without going out of here. I think I could do it without going out of here. I'm hitting my lay. Definitely hitting my. Okay, back into here. Get rid of this. Okay. So this was how to attain liberation from the false world. Make this a little bit bigger. This was, I found this on here besides what I had did the other day. And it said the false world, the Gnostic myth of Sophia in Dark City. In the second half of the 20th century, fascinating reveal of ancient Gnostic ideas, American popular culture could be observed. One of these major streams through which Gnostic ideas are transmitted in Hollywood cinema, many works as emerge as the end of the 1990s can be reviewed through the ideas of ancient Gnostic systems. The Truman Show, 1998. 13th Floor, 1999. The Others, thank you. Vanilla Sky, oh. And of course Matrix. And of course 1998 Dark City, and demonstrates that the story depicted the film as a heavily indebted Gnostic myth of Sophia. He bases his inquiry on the newest research results in Gnostic studies in order to highlight the importance of definition problems in the field and how carefully the concept of Gnosticism could be applied to cultural studies. Recommended. Attain a Liberation from False World, The Myth, Sophia, The Journal of Film. So definitely interesting that they have this, right, for me. That's it with that. It wasn't much to that one besides that it's really been these films, and there's a couple of films I've seen in there. What was it called? Others and Vanilla Sky. Let me see, what was it called? I want to get these films. I may watch them. And it's been a while since I watched them. Where were they at? Where were they at? Towards then I wanted to see Vanilla Sky and Others. Vanilla Sky and Others. I've seen The Truman Show, The 13th Floor, Others and Vanilla Sky. Okay. Let me get out of here and we're going to get into the other share, which is going to be more in depth, okay? We're going to get into the other share. Which this will be pretty much what we're going to go into, because we're going to go into the story, and I'll even go into what I experienced in the movie and what I caught and what was there. So, Dark City, let me make this a little bit bigger. Widely considered, if not the quintessential science of fiction film, predating The Matrix and exploring the themes of fabricated reality, imprisoned humanity, and the search for a true knowledge gnosis, the plot features an artificial, nocturnal world controlled by the strangers. And these strangers were definitely looked like something that they really did a good job in the movie of making them look. They were very tall, very bald, and looked like definitely looked like, didn't look normal, but looked bald, right? The plot features the artificial nocturnal world controlled by the strangers, the archons who manipulated the memories and reality, mirroring the Gnostic concept of the demiurge, keeping humanity in a state of oblivious slumber and sleep, which they did. Since it's a nocturnal city in the story, is because the one who wakes up out of this, which we'll get into probably a little bit deeper. Let's see, this should give us this. The false world city manufactured a construct, a digital prison, digital commons prison of darkness, designed to help inhabitants from realizing their true nature. The strangers would be the demiurge. The alien strangers act as archons or demiurges, wielding psychotic powers to alter reality and to alter reality and humanity to midnight. That was a key theme of the movie, was midnight, because no matter what anybody was doing at midnight, they would fall asleep. We'll get into that. Gnosis and awakening. The protagonist, John Murdoch, awakens from his mental slumbering oblivion to gain knowledge of the true self and the knowledge of his reality. Central part or tenet of Gnosticism is to wake up, right? He represents Shell Beach, represents a false paradise for a distance, a remembered reality highlighting the longing for a spiritual beyond material prison home. Shell Beach, yes. The film is the perpetual darkness, echoes the Gnostic view of the material world, or a fallen, dark, ignorant realm contrasting with a true light and spiritual knowledge. Then we'll go into this. We'll go into the deeper look of what this is. So what was the story as we look at it this? Let me make this a little bit bigger so I don't have to put on my glasses. So the thing is, the false. Let's read this, and I'll go into it because it's exactly what I was going to talk about. The false world, the prison, what is it called? Titular city is a dark, artificial construct where time is stopped every midnight. The inhabitants are imprisoned in a reality they don't understand, similar to the Gnostic view of the material world as a prison. So what would happen in the movie, this clock would come out with their face, their head, and at midnight everybody would go, no matter what you're at the movie theater, you're hunched over, you're at the police station, everybody falls asleep within the city right at midnight. And then at midnight, I'm trying to remember because the actor, there's definitely some actors in here that you guys would know. Hopefully it gives the actors, I'll even write it in. One of them is Donald Sutherland's son. He's the doctor in this that the archons use, but in prison where they do not understand. So they fall asleep, and as they fall asleep, the archons, or the strangers are called, go and have this before every day at 12. They all meet in this place and talk about what their plan is in the city. So what they would do was, when people fall out, they would go west side of the city in this block, take everybody out, inject them with this stuff and their memory, upload their memory, and switch it with somebody else. By doing this, they're looking for the soul, but also by doing this, they're diluting the memory more and more of the people, almost to function them completely out of having memory is what they want to do. But they're looking for a thing they don't have, which is a soul. And they mention this many times. We got to find out the soul. The demiurge, like I said, the strangers are alien beings who manipulate the city and its place. They function as the Gnostic demiurge or archons, flawed creators who rule over the material realm and keep humans in a state of sleep or oblivion. So they keep you in a state of oblivion. Like I said, they had this thing where they were able at 12, when the clock would hit midnight, they would all fall asleep within the city. Everybody would fall over. It didn't matter if you were the police, the mayor, everybody in every city, they would start swapping bodies to inject them with this needle to upload their thing and put somebody else's in them. So they start diluting themselves with other consciousness, and they're looking for the soul, but they're actually disconnecting them from their higher state. They're causing more memory loss. Gnosis, hidden knowledge, John Murdoch, develops the ability to tune, manipulate reality. His journey is an allegory of achieving Gnosis, the secret knowledge of the true nature and false reality, which eventually allows him to overthrow the strangers and liberate the city. The strangers experiment on humans to find the human soul, like I said, which corresponds with the Gnostic divine spark trapped within the physical body. And it goes into other movies, and like I said, Vanilla Sky was one of them, Blade Runner, and it said earlier on the Vanilla Sky and others. Vanilla Sky and others. Vanilla Sky. Remember, I want to remember it. I'm texting this to myself, so I remember I want to watch these movies. Sorry about that. Just let me get that over there. So in the process of this, he's in what I wanted to go. He wakes him up and he activates, because his power, they can't put him to sleep anymore because he woke up. So as everybody else is asleep in the movie, in the beginning when he realizes this, he's watching them very secretly. He's watching them very, very, very secretly, hiding behind the corners at midnight, around the darkness of the buildings, observing what they're doing as he's waking up, right? He's waking up. He catches the doctor, which it's Donald Sutherland's son. What's his name again? I can't remember. Let me see. It's a Sutherland, because Donald's the dad, right? If I remember right. Who's the doctor? Kiefer Sutherland. So Kiefer Sutherland is an eccentric psychiatrist who is the only human to allow to retain his memories and skills by the strangers. He acts as an indentured servant to the aliens, using large syringe to implant false memories into the city's inhabitants as part of the experience. So they're doing experiments, right? The lab. This goes right along with the reality of the movie in depth, right? Kiefer Sutherland, the experience, motivation. While he aids the strangers, he eventually betrays them by helping the protagonist, John Murdoch, unlock his own reality, altering the powers, tuning into the fake to take on the city. His character named Daniel Paul Scherber, a real-life German judge who famously documented his own experience with paranoid psychosis and schizophrenia in the 20th century. Performance: Kiefer's portrayal as a distinctive twitchy mannerism, a labored breathing style, and a high-pitched, hesitant voice. A performance he has cited as his favorite movie role. Interesting. Very interesting. So, what I was seeing in this, right, is that Dr. Kiefer Sutherland plays the eccentric doctor. They allow him to do the experiments. They keep his memory on some things. In the end, it's realized. But he does remember and know who they were. So during the dark of their experiments, John, the protagonist, right, John Murdoch, catches watching everything happening. He's the watcher watching the watchers, observing. He goes and he gets him by himself and then takes him around back because he's eccentric. He limps, he's weak, and he tells him, I want to know who you are. What is going on here? And he goes, it's true. You weren't able to be programmed. You woke up. In the movie, that's what he says. This is amazing. And then he tells them the story, and then they start, the archons, the strangers come back. He decodes it, Murdoch, because his frequency's gone higher. He feels, and he goes. They come back, they sense something's happening, and they go, was Murdoch here? They sense us, they have some powers and abilities. Yes, but I didn't tell him nothing, which he did tell them the truth, right? And he goes, they look at him lots, but they need him for the experience, so they take him with them. So later, they're blaming him for a murder that happened that he didn't do, but it was something else planted in that they were doing because they were actually injecting people. Like I said, they were given other memories or false memories of other things. Parasites from the Archon, right? We may be getting those too. It says, be honest, in this field, by a lot of the stuff we take with them, but I won't go too much into that. So the psychiatrist knows he has no power, but he sees hope even for himself within John. So later the police are after him and his wife, right? And there's a false memory he has his wife, which was not true, that she slept with somebody else and that's why they separated. But that was a false memory that was put into her, and he woke up from it because they tried to put it into him, but he rejected it. And he was trying to tell his wife it's not true, but the police are looking at him, blaming him for a murder, which he did not do. And then it was actually the Archons were killing people when they needed to, because they would kill them if they, were done with them. So, in the movie sense, it went through this process with family, with friends, but it was the police sergeant who was there, the detective, who didn't believe him, but then the detective was kind of waking up a little bit, because he even asked the detective, when he told him, he goes, I'm like you, don't you notice this is weird? He goes, yeah, it's a lot of weird. He goes, can you remember yesterday's? Do you remember the sun out yesterday? He goes, yeah. And he's like, he can't recall it. He goes, there's something weird. You can't remember. When's the last time you remember the sun being out here? Because remember, this movie's a dark city all the time. It's always in darkness, a representative of the lower matter, right? The darkness, the abyss of the reality that the Archons move through. And he's like, no, I don't. And then all of a sudden, he has this book that had nothing in it. Then it had something he put in it, which he didn't put in it, which the Archons manipulated. And then he was able, because his powers are working. The Archons had 2 run-ins with him, and they couldn't really apprehend him because actually he was more powerful than them. And this is right. We got to get a hold of him, and we got to do some experiments on him. Why is he not falling asleep like everybody else? What has he got that everybody else? Why is he waking up? Right. Very good movie. And then I'm kind of telling you what happened was the police took on their reality. The cop believes him, and then starts seeing stuff and starts believing of what he's seeing as he observes some of this stuff happening dealing with the archons before 12. And then they go into this place where this beach, it says Shell Beach, and everybody's like, where's Shell Beach? You've seen it earlier probably in here. Let me see. Shell Beach, the false reality, Shell Beach, the demiurge, Shell Beach. Where's Shell Beach? It's not there. I know that the Shell Beach is there. No, it's this divine spark. Okay, that's not there. Let's go back into all. I think the all has Shell Beach. Shell Beach right here represents a false paradise or a distant remembered reality, highlighting the longing for a spiritual place beyond the material prison. And this was kind of the pleroma. Shell Beach represent the pleroma, Shell Beach. Because in the story, the strangers didn't like water. They were immune to the water. So at the end, in the Shell Beach, that's why it was the old place, the connection to the water, to the beach, right? And there was this big board they found in the back somewhere, and it said Shell Beach. And when they opened it and went in, there was nothingness on the other side. It was like space in the movie. And then they're just kind of trying to pull them out like a plane would pull you out, right? So then what would happen was, through this process, right, they seen that, and the cops seen that. And then this is how they kind of apprehended him at the end. But then, of course, when they went to do more experiences, the doctor didn't give them what they want. He gave them memories of his Gnosis past and uploaded him with more knowledge of what was behind all this. And then he woke up and had way more power. And then he created the reality on his own and created a water, and it was like a beach outside the city. And then it was an inverted city, and when he put it right side up from the darkness, it went, and then the sun came out and light came out, and that's kind of how it ended. I kind of told you the story, but I would suggest go watch it. Kiefer Sutherland was in it. All right. Kiefer Sutherland was in it. And good story. Definitely done well. Definitely every aspect from Sophia to the Demiurge to the Archons to the doctor who was used by them to keep his memory by working for them, found the awakened one, kind of the Sophia or the Christ, right? Sophia is like the feminine aspect of Christ, and which is wisdom, and then the power. Then he aids the good for the change. And what's kind of amazing, he said it was his funnest and greatest role he ever played in any movie. And he's been in some movies, right? So kind of pretty cool. Definitely, I suggest you guys watch it, especially if you're into this. Like it said, The Matrix, Vanilla Sky, which I didn't know, and the others, which I'm going to go check out and check this out. I actually have on board already up there, 1984, right? The Orwell movie, which is similar, and these movies actually were on Tubi for free. You don't have to pay money for them on Tubi. Definitely suggest you to watch if you're into that. And what this really did to me, that I kind of, when I looked at things, and I think I may have said this on a video before this, but as on the last video when we went into the 13th floor. I've been looking at movies for a while, right? And I really quit watching them because of Hollywood. And I had a nickname which wasn't a nickname for Hollywood that is drawing you into a lovely name. When I say the wood, I say it in a way that the wood, Hollywood, and it's Hollywood. Some call it Hollyweird or Holly, what, you know. the things that we're seeing that's admitted now with children and all the programs and the contracts and all the stuff like that. I also knew that a lot of this was telling you the truth more than the propagated, the big props of CBS and NBC and ABC and all the news, right? And stuff like that. I knew that. But I also knew the stuff that was gone in Hollywood. But really what hit me the other day and the balance of it all, and I really realized is, like I've been talking about symbols being hijacked, when the forces of the reality hijack everything with a stronghold, which they do, right? They invert everything. And I realized making a movie really is an art. You're telling a story. You're writing a book within a movie. It's almost like taking, like I said, it'd be the same as taking, like I keep referring to, symbols or songs, decoding songs or lyrics. Taking symbols, inverting them, and then telling you what they mean. And then you believe that this is what it is, and this is what the symbol meant. Always, when it wasn't that, when it was created, a symbol or signal, because it's a symbol, it's a signal, right? Didn't mean what the hijackers meant it to mean. They hijacked it and gave you a false reality what it means. And I've mentioned this before. And I've seen this very same contrast with movies. It is an art. It is a very art form that these movies are. They are art, but when the same people have the power to control them, as they do every aspect of people's abilities and gifts, and then hijack it for their purpose, like the symbols. And so a lot of these symbols are hijacked, just like becoming a Luciferian and then a Luciferian. But when you know what a Luciferian is, you know what they made out it to be, but that's a hijack because that's not what it meant anciently. When you know it's not what it's meant anciently, and you can prove it, and you see it, and you know it. When you awaken, like the movie of John Murdoch, being the one that woke up in the dark city and not falling asleep, they can't put him to sleep anymore. And they realize this is a powerful guy we need to apprehend, and he was able to always get away and do damage to them and destroy their foundation of the movie. He destroyed that, right? And of course that would be the Hollywood part of it. The reality part about it is that you have the same power, but with your power in the right essence of what your power would be, right? And then so when you realize, like the movies, I had to really come to myself because I've really been hard on them, not liking them. And it was something that I used to go to a lot and used to enjoy a lot. And then I knew my wife really likes movies and likes to go. And she's, and I'm not going like I used to. And she's saying, wanting to go. And then I also started watching some of the stuff I wouldn't watch before besides these movies. I watched Lord of the Rings. Decoding them. I'm watching Lord of the Rings now, getting ready, watching some of the other stuff like Harry Potter, which are really all about alchemy and magic, right? And stuff like this. These are, most of them are made and created off original books. And sometimes the movies don't totally serve the book, like 13th Floor. Variation differences. I talked about what was the movie before that? The Doctor. I did Doctor Sleep and The Shining. Wanted to watch them again. They cost because I've never seen Doctor Sleep, but Doctor Sleep gives you very, very much more the book context of even what the movie with Jack Nicholson is in The Shining. So these movies for ages have been telling truths within the truth, but people weren't able to see or hear to decode them. Like I said, they're giving you news and possibly plans of the truth, of the reality, because you've got to know and be equipped with the reality so you're not deceived. Somebody's like, oh, that they got that, and I'm thinking, man, somebody's telling, I'm thinking, man, you're not seeing what I'm seeing, and you're coming with a lot of clutter. Somebody I know who recently, but anyways, not trying to get on that, just knowing that we need to eye to see and ear to hear. Stay on your stuff with them, but have your head on the swivel. I coach football, meaning head on the swivel so you don't get blocked and knocked into kingdom come if you're a defensive player. Keep the head on the swivel if you're an offensive player catching a pass over the middle so you don't get smoked, right? Football talk wise, get racked up, get obliviated by the safety or the linebackers. You're crossing over the middle. When they used to cross over the middle, that's another story. The art of movies, this is an art to this, very creative. But when the hijackers did, and what they did, symbols, in every aspect of controlling the narrative of all these aspects. Sports controlled. I can tell you right now, whether you want believe it or not, this stuff the outcomes are not the reality. American sports are the same as wrestling. Who's going to win is already decided. And I learned this a few years ago during the vid was learning gematria and watching Gematria Effect. And when I watched Gematria Effect, I learned this was all by numbers. Who won elections, why was 56 so big during COVID, and throwing out because it was connected to the code. And sports is connected to the code, and what comes with it isn't necessarily nice when you see a team win a title, lose a title, get to a championship, and how it will follow the codes of former players. And some of those players die, the older ones, or even not so old will die, or people connected to that, which would be connected to the number and the outcome, right? But anyways, we already see that they're telling us about this. So even in everything that we think of as like this or that, the narrative's controlled. When the narrative's controlled, it takes away the gift of what it could be. If you know what I mean, the art's out of it, because these people are skilled, but a lot of them are Manchurian candidates. They were raised to do this. They were for this. But you guys, just a little food for thought to think about it. You guys have a great day. And it made me come to a realization how movies are very much an art. But then I realized they were hijacked like everything else. The narrative's controlled. You guys have a great day. And I will decode some other movies.